is fresh in the QSR industry. Is it a myth or is it reality? A burger is available for 99 bucks at one of the biggest QSR chains across the globe. Why should they come at Good Flipping Burgers and pay 300 for the burger?
Can we make a burger that costs 99 or 150 or 200? Yes, we can. It's not rocket science to do that.
Your journey, you were the category head at Starbucks. When did you realize that you were done with coffee?
We're a people business who actually tends to sell burgers.
Wow. When we meet entrepreneurs, we discuss about when did they first think of taking that leap of faith. But I believe hearing you, I think it's getting more cemented in my head that there's no actual right time.
Experimenting like at least 100 times with our burgers as to how they would reach a certain city, how they would taste after that, and was there any compromise.
Doing it right and doing it right every day then sort of becomes a discipline. How do you sensitize the entire value chain?
After we received our first check from a massive investor, we knew that we couldn't do this on our own.
Hello everyone, and we are back with yet another interesting episode of House of Equentis. Today we have a special guest, one of my favorites, a brand that I experienced after I experienced maybe Wimpy's with that excitement when I was a child, or Nirula's. So it's a burger brand, and I'm sure you would have guessed it. It's called Good Flipping Burgers. So I'm glad to host Sid Marchant today with us, who's
Glad
the founder.
to be here. Thank you.
And let's hear Sid's story, how he's building one of the most loved burger brands of India.
Thank
All right, Sid, first of all, I am intrigued by your journey, right? From retail to real estate to being at Starbucks and then finally landing up at Good Flipping Burgers. Just talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it from an external perspective, it does seem pretty different. But I think it's pretty much a Bombay or Mumbai story. A young kid who wants to kind of make it in the world. Parents supported with good education, and then kind of had to take that forward and do something with it. My first job was in fact very interesting. It was a door-to-door sales job where I was trying to sell SIM cards, and it lasted about a week. Where I realized that this may not be the one for me. But it's been very interesting. Real estate just happened. I walked in for an interview. They liked me, and they said, what do you want to lease? Do you want to lease malls or offices? It was a brokerage firm, and I was like, what's the difference? And they said, no, retail is fun and happening, and you get to deal with brands, and offices you have to deal with corporates. So working for a corporate, I thought maybe I'd deal with brands. It'll be a little more fun and exciting, and that's why I chose retail. So started my career with JLL and grew from there. Worked for multiple projects. I was very lucky to work closely with Atul Ruya while he was just envisioning the start of building market cities and Palladium, so on and so forth. So born and raised with the Indian retail revolution, I got to experience first-hand decisions a lot. Firsthand, I got to experience high decisions, high-end decisions, because real estate is always a very, very expensive and very cash-heavy decision. So you'd always have the CEOs and the directors making decisions. Got to understand how brands choose sites, whether it's F&B, whether it's retail. And really, JLL gave me that, foundation of building my understanding of real estate, specializing in retail. I worked for a global Indian firm, which also let me head business development for them. So I got massive experience in Indian metro cities, seeing them grow from a nascent stage to where they are currently, where Hyderabad was still an up-and-coming city to now a full-fledged metro. And coming back from that, I think one of the After about 15 or 16 years of doing real estate and working with different brands, I always wanted to work on the retailer side or the F&B side, and never really had the opportunity because your expertise in real estate was so much now, nobody wanted to hire you in a different role. So I had to end up doing it myself, where basically I got together with a couple of partners and we started a small coffee roastery and coffee shop. We were, in fact, one of the second entrants in India with a specialty coffee thing, where we started about this brand called Koinonia Coffee Roasters. Partnership didn't end up well, and I also learned a lot through that, where I felt that I had a lot of shortcomings when it came to understanding how to run and build a F&B brand in India. I had never had that experience, and we were all learning on the job, right? And it gave me an understanding as to how I had to work for a brand or a company that would kind of give me that education. Thankfully, Starbucks came calling, and I jumped at the opportunity. Um, I was part of the leadership team for about 2.5 years there. I headed product at Starbucks, and it was one of the best experiences of my life, both from understanding how a massive company and a great F&B brand kind of builds from the bottom and how do you keep going. And yeah, that was the jump start, or rather the opportunity that I needed to finally be confident again and say, hey, I can now do something on my own. So fantastic time at Starbucks, and then good Flippin burgers happened. So here we are.
So I think all the right pieces
Right.
to start a F&B brand, or I would say the pillars you were exposed to in your early stages of career, be it retail, be it real estate,
Yes.
F&B at Starbucks. But when did that idea of good flipping burgers, that okay, let me start a burger joint, when did it sort of first start to shape up and shape up good?
So it was. It's a story that we've told many times, and it never ceases to amaze me. But it was this one guy delivering burgers in and around Bandra area, is where I live, and I heard it through the grapevine. Hey, great burgers, and I was like, okay, let me try it, because I also realized at that point of time that the last time I had a good burger was generally when I would travel abroad at the airport, or in a big city abroad. So there's this guy Sijo delivering burgers, and everybody's talking about it, and I order one and I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. And that became my weekend ritual. I like playing sports, so after my sporting activity, I'd come back and look forward to ordering at least two of his burgers and just like finishing them in like 2 minutes. About 6 or 8 months later, generally what happens with new age F&B brands, they come on the scene and then slowly the product quality starts deteriorating. That's what never happened with him. About 8, 9, 10 months. And that's when it struck me. I was still at my job at Starbucks, and I was like, okay, maybe there's something here, because in the meanwhile, I had traveled to the Middle East. I have a lot of friends and family in Dubai, so went there a couple of times. And at this food festival, I saw about 50 brands. Out of them, about only 20, so not 20, not only, about 20 brands were burger brands. And it had the international brands, it had it had the Shake Shacks, the Wendy's of the world, and it had all these local burger brands as well. And that's when I think, and a lot of them were doing well. There were queues outside, a lot of local players. And that's when I realized that there was a massive opportunity in India waiting to happen for burgers. The similar thing that had happened with coffee, where Starbucks came in and took hold of the premium kind of coffee experience. I felt that burgers was missing. The premium burger experience was missing in India, and that's something that we could chase after. So put two and two together, called Sijo up, said, hey, do you want to do something? Thankfully, he was also kind of done with business in India, and he was, he was a little jaded with his partnership as well. And that's how we got together, and we said, let's start something new. Let's try and see how big we can make it. It's not going to be a one night stand. It's going to be a long term thing, and let's see where we can take this.
So I see this as, a passionate hunt for good burgers. Ended up you guys sort of, why not build it sort of attitude and jumping into it, right?
Absolutely, yeah, that was it. I mean, it all starts with, I think most entrepreneurial ventures start that way. I'm sure not all, but you kind of either stumble upon a problem, or you're looking for a problem to solve, and then you solve it and you're like, hey, nobody else is solving this problem, let me try. So that was, we tried solving the problem of delicious, good tasting burgers that would keep you happy and satiated.
Lovely. So in Good Flipping Burgers, you're 3 co-founders, right?
Yes.
And in every trio, there's a smart one, there's a creative one, and there's a stubborn one. Who is who in the Good Flipping Burgers
That's
case?
a very interesting question. I think all three of us have some attributes of everything, obviously. The creative one, the easy one is Sijo. And when we say creative, we mean...
Why do you say creative one is the easy one? Creative is not easy. Let me tell you that.
No, what I meant is the creative one to pick from us three is the easy one. Not creativity is definitely not easy. In fact, it's the rarest form of skill or intellect that you can have. But creativity for us comes to product, because one can talk about creativity in marketing and all that, but marketing without a product, you can't market anything, right? So for us, product is the most important, and that's where Sijo comes in, and he just has magic hands. You just have to give him an idea, or he has his own ideas, and then we kind of keep working on it, and it's just there. So definitely creative is Sijo. I would say smart one, Viren. Viren is the one who helps us raise money. He also looks at multiple functions within the business, and he's generally the calmer one in all of it when everything is going haywire, and especially when I'm losing my nuts. He's kind of the calming presence on the ship. So I would say he's the smart one. I am the stubborn one. I think I don't know if I can explain that.
No, that's a good one. But tell me, has there been ever a decision when 2 of you were aligned and the third one was not, but ultimately the third one turned out to be right?
I'm sure there would be such decisions. If you are in any partnership, I think more than a year, because I think that's the honeymoon period generally, maybe lesser as well. Just like any relationship, right? The thing that complicates it, or rather maybe adds value to it, is having a third partner who can bring in the calm at that point of time, especially when 2 are at loggerheads. So I think 3 is a good number. And yeah, we've had many instances of that. I think what kind of brings us back to the equation again and again is that this business is not about us. It's about us building something, and what is best for the brand, what is best for the business is something that we will always try and follow, and thankfully to date we've always kind of followed that.
Brilliant. So now tell me your journey. You were the category head at Starbucks, and even launched their first international Diwali blend, right?
Right.
When did you realize that you were done with coffee and now burgers?
So technically I'm never done with coffee. We in fact have a brand that we just launched about maybe a year ago called Flipp Coffee. So coffee it's part of my daily life. I have my 3 cups of coffee every day, and I just love coffee. But when it comes to business, I think what I realized is that even within F&B, the business is not about the product in itself. The product has to be there, and your product has to be fantastic. But at the end of the day, it's about people who build that product and people who will kind of take you there over a period of time. We have about 70 outlets right now. We have an average of 10 people working at each outlet. That's 700 people. And without these people, Good Flippin Burgers cannot go to the cities that we are in. Without the people working in our corporate office and our support center, without the supply chain guy figuring out the LPG crisis and the chicken prices and the our condiments that come in and the making. So what I realized at some point, and I actually realized this at Starbucks. One of the things when you join the leadership team or the senior team, they ask you to try and read the book by Howard Schultz, and at some point of time, he says, I realized that it was not about a business that was serving coffee. It was about people. It was a people business that was selling coffee, right? And I would like to steal that now. And we are exactly that. We're a people business who actually tends to sell burgers.
Wow.
Right. So that's what we are about. That's who we are. And the burgers will always be our product, and we would love to dish out consistent, great, delicious tasting, but we can't do it without the people. So we're a people business. So any business that needs people and needs people to kind of take it to the next level, I'm interested in.
Brilliant. So I think I'll just quote a lot of people when we meet entrepreneurs, we discuss about when did they first think of taking that leap of faith. But I believe hearing you, I think it's getting more cemented in my head that there's no actual right time. When you feel, that you have the belief, and you actually disagree to look down.
True.
You just believe in yourself, like you said, you'll figure out the prices of LPG, crisis, chicken prices, this and that. It's just about the belief that, hey, listen, like you said, we are a people's business and we'll
Yeah.
serve the best burgers possible.
Absolutely.
Brilliant stuff.
Absolutely.
Coming on to your coffee, I would say journey. You are a certified Q grader, right? One of the highest coffee certifications.
Yes.
You're trained to detect the smallest flaws in the roast.
Correct.
Does that hypersensitive palate make you a nightmare for Sijo in the kitchen? No?
I'm pretty sure it does, but he never shows it. He's also one of the calming personalities in our partnership. But I think the unique partnership between Sijo and me, and it's a great question actually. It makes me think a little bit. Sijo is a Kerala boy who was born and raised in the Middle East. So first of all, Kerala food and the kind of spices, the pepper, and everything coming out of Kerala is fantastic, right? The heritage that Kerala families bring into the food is next level. And secondly, being raised in the Middle East, he was already kind of exposed to a lot of American brands. Right, America just set up shop in the Middle East, especially in the UAE and stuff like that. So growing up, he was already exposed to great burgers, pizza, QSR, so on and so forth. So he comes from a very different kind of palate. Although Kerala boy, but raised in the Middle East, my palate is like everywhere. I can eat anything that tastes amazing. So, but it is kind of truly Indian. I for the first time I traveled abroad for about a month and came back. Like I was just waiting to get out of the airport and get a vada pav and samosa. Right, I was just like craving it. Like I couldn't help it. So my palate is kind of Indian, but all over the place. I think when we come together, he brings in that pure American, diner kind of thing without any compromises, without any masalas. And I am the one who's like, no, can we just do this so that it tastes good, right? So I think that's the irritating part for him more than anything else. But thankfully, we've never had any kind of disagreements when it comes to the final product. I think both of us, when we taste something and we know, we're like, yeah, that's it. That's good.
Great. Sid, we have also heard some great things about Good Flipping Burger. Like people quote that they haven't seen anything more consistent than the burger taste at Good Flipping Burgers. How do you maintain that consistency, and why is it so important in food business?
Consistency is everything in food business. I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but you can even kind of do a okay product consistently, and there is a market for that across India, right? It's not what we do. And then obviously the more complex and the more delicious the product, I think there are more complexities in the supply chain to kind of, and then at the stores to bring that same tasting product to the customer. Delivery is another angle, because something that delivers to you within 30 minutes tastes complete. No, I wouldn't say completely different, but at least 15 or 20% better at store, because it's fresh off the grill. Hot food would always taste better. Crispier fries would always taste better, right? So I think there is a lot that goes into that, and we built accordingly. So we built our supply chain accordingly. We used to have first central kitchens in each city that we were part of. So when we did Mumbai, we had a central kitchen here. When we did Delhi, we had a central kitchen there. Now we have a centralized supply chain, where we only took that leap up about after 4 years, experimenting like at least 100 times with our burgers as to how they would reach a certain city, how they would taste after that, and was there any compromise, right? And trying each and every angle to kind of make sure that burger that is served at Bandra, Pali, Naka is the same that is being served at Banjara Hills, Hyderabad, or a Copa Mall in Pune. So that is something that we've held sacrosanct. We've not rushed into things to grow. Even after we received a bunch of money from investors, we didn't rush into things to grow tremendously, because still we knew that we can serve the same product that we're proud of, where what we first served on day one in Mumbai. If we cannot do that, then we don't do it, basically. So that's something. So everything is possible. I think it's always about how much time and effort you want to put into it. Money is available, It's about the time and effort that you want to put into figuring out something, and I think everything can be figured out. It's just, again, that time and effort that you want to put in, and how much sometimes you have to compromise on growth for that.
No, I think hearing you again reinforces the fact that consistency might be underrated, but again, it becomes the soul of any business that really wants to grow well.
100%.
And I think, again, just to pick up from what you said, doing it right and doing it right every day then sort of becomes a discipline. And I'm sure
Yes.
discipline, once if you put in anything like your burgers, and I love the fact that how Hyderabad tastes as good as Pune or the same, exactly the same.
Yes.
That's the beauty. So I'm sure you guys are putting in a lot of effort, a lot of attention to detail. But tell me, is it a single person responsible? How do you sensitize the entire value chain?
So thankfully, the three co-founders that we're not we don't like to seek a lot of attention to ourselves. This may be my first, maybe second podcast that I'm doing. What we believe on is all the effort and the energy that we have. If we put into our product and our business, that's going to give us a lot of returns, and that's going to give our customers, to be honest, a lot of happiness. We built a leadership team pretty early on. After we received our first check from a massive investor, we knew that we couldn't do this on our own. And again, as I said, we're a people business. So we went out and we got the best people that were willing to come with us on this journey on board. So our HR head, our operations head, they're ex-Pizza Express. Our finance head is ex-Mad Over Donuts. Our business development head is ex Starbucks, ex Tim Hortons. So I'm throwing out these brand names because these brands obviously attract the best people, and we were really proud at that point of time that we could attract these people to our company. Based on where we were going, they believed our story and they believed in us as people, and basically that is the same culture that we want to propagate throughout the company. We own the product, we own the business. Obviously, a lot of people talk about ownership without rewards. You have to have the rewards as well, because at the end of the day, they are not the shareholders in the company. They're just employees, or rather, on paper, they're at least their employees. So you need to obviously reward as well. And I think for us, it is about trusting people that you hire, and then trusting them to do their best, obviously guiding them from time to time. So we've kind of built this leadership team, then we've built a mid-management team, and the culture goes across. Our primary job at the support center is to support the stores, and because they are the ones who finally serve the product to our customer. So everything that we do is to make their lives easier, to basically make sure that they don't have to worry about anything else, but building the right product and serving the customer well. So yeah, that's how we try and do things. So yeah.
So you actually went from boardrooms, maybe at Starbucks, to a two-room office, and
Yeah.
now, like you're saying, again building a team. Tell us more about how big the team is at Good Flipping Burgers, and what keeps you on your toes for the next phase of growth.
So as I said, we have about 700 people at stores, all employed with Good Flippin' Burgers. We have about 70 or 80 people at the support center. And everybody has just one focus. Everybody knows what needs to be done. So, for example, whether it's an annual operating plan, even a management trainee who joins us would know exactly what our annual operating plan is. Whether it's the targets with sales, whether it's the targets with bottom line, corporate EBITDA, everybody knows everything, right? Obviously, there's some sensitive data that we don't share within the organization. A lot of organizations, I feel, only limit this information to the top team, and then they rely on the top team to go across and figure out how the people will know. We believe that, if people know exactly where they are going, they will be more motivated and they will have more clarity to reach there. So that's how we do it. We kind of keep everything transparent, whether it comes to, even restaurant managers knowing their own P&L, how much profit. In fact, they are responsible for their own P&L. So they know the not only the sales, but they know how much rent they are paying, what is the electricity, what is the water bill, how they can, incentivize their people. They have certain freedoms to incentivize and pay out rewards and achieve it. So basically, if you own something, the idea is that you want to then figure out how to achieve that, right? And whatever information or support they need to achieve that, that's what we're here for. So that's how we're building. I'm sure there are some things that we can do better as we keep growing. How you grow is basically you build the foundation, and then you spend a lot of time on it, and then hopefully you can build quicker from there, because once the foundation is set, once the culture is set, people coming in, you don't have to spend that much time assimilating them to the culture. The people around take care of that. So whether it's the team members at the stores, knowing how we behave at Good Flippin Burgers, what we do when there are new team members coming in, it's not only the restaurant manager's responsibility to make them feel at home. It's about everybody, right? So yeah, that's how we're trying to build.
Interesting. Just shifting gears, Sid, sharing my personal experience, right?
Yes.
When I was a kid and I used to just love burgers, there were two chains that I was very fond of. One was Nirula's.
Yes,
There was one more called Wimpy's. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
This was in Delhi.
I remember.
The good part was that every time I used to have a burger, it was an indulgence and experience. Right?
Yes.
You used to go to the store or outlet, and you would see the guys preparing the fresh patty, putting in the fresh condiments, lettuce,
Absolutely.
and everything was so fresh so that you to relish. I'm very curious these days. Is fresh in the QSR industry? Is it a myth or is it reality? Because, like you said, something that you order from Zomato at least
Right.
tastes completely different
Yeah.
versus something at the outlet. So I'm really curious that when I'm ordering to Zomato at 11 p.m. and my hunger is like, at its peak, like it's right now because it's almost lunchtime, what am I actually expecting?
Yeah. So I will only comment on Good Flippin Burgers because I really I mean, I may have some idea of how other people do, but when really not interested in understanding that. I think for us, every order is freshly prepared. So the moment you order, your order starts getting prepared. We have a kitchen preparation time for that. Generally we hover at around 10 or 11 minutes per order. If you have a massive order, obviously it's going to take a longer period of time than that. So whether it's our fries, we don't fry our fries and then refry them. We don't keep it on hold so that the frying time is lesser. Don't get me wrong, we've experimented with that, but it doesn't hold the test of time. It doesn't hold the test of delivery. Whether it's a burger that's made fresh to order, we don't do warmers. We don't prepare burgers in advance and keep them because we anticipate demand coming in. Right. So everything is fresh. The moment you place an order and it hits my KDS, which is my kitchen display system, the guy starts preparing his order. One is that, so it's a fresh prep every time. Second is nothing comes cooked to our stores. They may come prepped, whether it's the marinade or pre-prepped and
You're
stuff like
saying
that.
each store
Right.
will prepare its own food?
No. When we say prepare, they will cook their own food, they will grill their own food, they will fry their own food.
But it's a centralized function, right? The patties will
Absolutely,
go
absolutely.
central.
The patties will always go, to the kitchen and stuff like that. But nothing is, comes pre-cooked from the kitchen, and then we just have to warm it in a microwave or something and do that.
Got it.
There are brands that do that as well. So yeah, we don't have microwaves in our store. Lastly, we focused a lot on packaging because we started as a delivery brand. We wanted to figure out how can you send a burger 30-40 minutes and it still tastes good. It may not be as good as at the store, you can never achieve that, but how do we do that? So whether it comes to the burger box packaging, whether it comes to the inner lining of the box, whether it comes to the wrapping paper, with fries we figured out that they start to get soggy if you keep them in a enclosed environment. So we have little holes in our fries box that we've built over a period of time. So that is how we also, in terms of the most premium fries that you can get in India at scale, you can get it at Good Flippin Burgers. Our fries are 11 Shaw crisp skin on fries that stay crispier for a longer time, and they are all real potato. There's no fillers in it. None of our patties has any kind of fillers. It's whole muscle. We use basically real ingredients, and just as how you would at home use ingredients to cook something, that's how we do it. We have a proprietary bun that is again fresh. It's not frozen because we've tried that and it doesn't work. The bread and bun would not have a shelf life of more than 2 days at the store. Right. So all of these things goes into getting you that delicious burger, 30-40 minutes even after you order it at 11 p.m. at night. There's a lot more stuff that we are doing and we're working on to see how we can actually upgrade that as well.
Tell me, again, inquisitive. India is moving towards a lot of healthy consumption now. There's a lot of awareness around healthy food,
Absolutely.
protein content. I see a high protein burger in McDonald's now and stuff like that. Are there any plans of Good Flipping Burgers pivoting into that zone?
I view health as a very different thing in the traditional sense of how people view health. Health is a lifestyle. It is something that you do 24/7. If you want to be healthy, you have to get good sleep. You have to hit the gym at some point of time, or work out, or do a sporting activity. Don't stay, in a single place, sitting at a desk job the whole day, and then eat good food. I believe good food is nutritious, right? Your protein content, your carbs, your fats. You need everything. You need everything to stay alive. What quantities you have that in is finally up to you, right? How you indulge. I believe food is a beautiful thing. You get to experience 3 or 4 times a day, and every time you are amazed by something delicious. I think that's a luxury that we often tend to ignore in life. Something that can make you happy at least 3 or 4 times a day. So we play our part in that. We don't claim to be healthy because, again, it's a very, very wide range of things, but definitely from an ingredients perspective, from not using fillers, from trying to give you the best product quality. If you want to have a burger, you generally want to indulge. If you want to have an ice cream, it has to be delicious. If you want to have pizza, it has to be amazing. So we focus on the delicious part. On the health part, we leave it to the people to figure out how they're going to balance. I definitely wouldn't recommend you eating a burger every day, right? So that's your call, and we try and do our part by making sure the ingredients are great. Burgers are nutritious. The protein value in our burgers is great, but we don't really call it out. We don't feel the need to call it out. So we focus on the nutritional value more than the healthy part. Honestly, if you really want health food, you would go to a brand that actually only does health food, right? Salads, this, that. Especially if you're trying to get on a diet or trying to get back on track and stuff like that. But I feel indulgence is part of our everyday life, and what is life without a little reward, on a daily basis? So that's where we come in.
I like how you call a spade, right? A burger is not healthy. Let's accept that. Maybe it has higher fat content or carbs content.
Yeah.
But I love what you said. It's an indulgence. So if you are able to maintain the nutritional value, the overall palate, and of course the ingredients, like you said, no fillers and beautiful details, I'm sure it becomes far more lucrative of a meal for someone to indulge, right?
I at the end of my sporting day, if I've had a good day, I would go and have a nice burger, fries. So that's my reward.
Brilliant. Coming to a question which I'm sure a lot of your non-loyal customers would be asking themselves: if a burger is available for $99 at one of the biggest QSR chains across the globe, why should they come at Good Flipping Burgers and pay $300 for the burger?
I think for us, there are many reasons for that. One is that the kind of ingredients that we use and the kind of business that we do, to make sense of it, there's something called margins. We have to maintain those margins on the business. Can we make a burger that costs 99 or 150 or 200? Yes, we can. It's not rocket science to do that. But then you kind of compromise on the kind of ingredients that you're using and what you're using, the weight of the burger, the overall size of the patty. So in terms of, yes, the ingredients that we use, the volume, the weight of our burger, each burger has a unique sauce, right, that we make in-house, right? We have proprietary sauces that we've created over a period of time. So it's not one sauce fits all. There are 3 things that generally make a burger, right? The bun, the patty, and the sauce. All our patties are products that actually we've come up with, recipes that we've created from scratch, understanding what the customer wants and what we want to offer them. The bun, as I said earlier, is a proprietary. Actually, we went to great lengths, even though we do a brioche bun, we went to great lengths to make it eggless, because we know that that a lot of people in India are vegetarian who don't even eat eggs. So for them to enjoy even a veg burger, we have to be true to ourselves and kind of have a bun that is eggless, right? So all our buns are eggless, basically. So an egg, when you use egg in a bun, it can actually be much more richer and much more indulgent and actually maybe even a better tasting burger. But we've kind of figured out that recipe where you don't get to compromise on taste, but you have a great fluffy bun. And the third part is the sauces, right? We don't have a one size fits all. We've actually gone ahead and said, no, this burger, this bun and patty deserves another sauce and a combination of something else. It all creates complications at supply chain. It creates complications at your stores. If the guy has to choose from 10 sauces, there's a big complication. So how do we kind of do that when we get SOPs, all of that into play? And at the end of the day, it is about also paying people fairly, right? We can operate from delivery kitchens and have very few operators there and, pay them fairly but make them work a lot harder, but that is not our ethos. So we want to kind of create a business that's providing value to all, providing value to customers, shareholders, but a lot of times we forget the actual people who are working to build that, which is the employees. So we want to kind of 360 create that value. So yeah, so hopefully after hearing this, people won't have a problem paying 300 rupees.
No,
for
I'm
a
sure
burger.
the nitty-gritties that you mentioned and the detailing, rather the fine detailing, is also a reflection of your great reviews on Google across Swiggy, Zomato.
Thank you.
And I'm sure people have rated you very highly, and not just in Bombay. At least I've seen in most of the cities that I travel to. Tell me, has there been any review that has really shaken you up and you have really actioned something tangible basis that?
Oh wow!
Because that's the voice of the customer, right?
So, as a practice at Good Flippin Burgers, the operations department, which kind of reports to me and me, we go through, I would say 90%, 99% of them, maybe 90%, I don't know now, of the negative reviews on a daily basis. We look at everything. Any customer who writes us an email, we generally tend to respond to. Swiggy Zomato does not give you the freedom to reach out to your customer directly because they don't share. So even if a customer does leave a review on Swiggy Zomato, we tend to respond to it and ask them to call us because we can't get in touch with them, right? So yes, we do take reviews and customer feedback very, very seriously. But at the same time, being in the food business and being in India, there are a lot of, I wouldn't say there's a lot, there's always exceptions of customers as to what they want from a review generally, or are they reviewing the product fairly as well, right? So we take all of that. Our experience has taught us how to understand what the serious customer complaints are. We generally tend to look for any kind of what do you call that, designs. Like for example, if there are 5 or 10 bad reviews suddenly come out of one outlet, a single outlet, then there definitely is a problem with our outlet. Something went wrong, and then you tend to go and say, hey, what happened here? And then we would find out that maybe one person did not turn up for the shift, and the shift was only being run by like 3 people instead of 4, right? So the workload increased, and because of that, mistakes increased, right? Wrong burger was sent, this, that. So yeah, it's an everyday business. It's a morning thing that we all go through, just reviewing all the complaints and understanding if there are any kind of patterns that are emerging that we need to take really, really seriously. So yeah, I mean, that's how you build a food business. It's an everyday thing. Yeah.
Tell me, I mean, GFP is doing really good. That's what we hear from you, and the reviews at least say it. What if a giant like Jubilant offers to buy you out and wants you to turn your burgers into quick service? What would you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we view it a little differently. We view our burgers as premium QSR, and QSR because we try and dish out burgers within 9 minutes. The traditional QSR would be about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. We simply can't do that because, again, as I said earlier, we follow a certain standard and a process. What we look at as entrepreneurs is that we're building something significant for this particular country and this industry. I'm sure there will be a lot of competition that comes in. You know, how we grow in the next 5-10 years, we have very clear ideas about it, but our biggest source of inspiration is our people, right? We are building this business because we finally can obviously create value for shareholders and ourselves, but we're also building this business on a daily basis. When I look at myself in the mirror, we feel that 750 families depend on us, depend on this particular business. And I think it's QSRs across the world that look at business. When I worked for Starbucks, I realized the how big this company was, not only from a revenue perspective, but how it supported multiple families across the globe. Right, so we're trying to now look at ourselves in that way, where we're creating employment opportunities, and actually skilled employment opportunities, not just you take your bike out and you go riding around not that I have anything against delivery riders. It's a fantastic gig that they're doing, and because of them we do exist. But I think from a skill level, we do not encourage people in our stores to come in and learn how to be a cook. We have SOPs in place. You can learn how to make a burger. I can teach you how to make a burger in like 2 days, all our burgers, right? Because the SOPs are so simple. But that's not the idea. The idea is to give them skill levels that they would take with them and build careers out of them. For example, a team member coming in can understand how to operate a store, supply chain, customer experience, profit and loss, right? What can I do to increase sales? These are all massive skill learnings that maybe people can even take and become entrepreneurs at a later stage of time. So that is how we are building the company. So back in the day, or back in my career, I learned to say a couple of things, or learned the hard way. Never say never, and don't always say always. So having said these two things, the future, we don't really know what it holds for us. We know one thing, that we're building this brand to be the most loved burger brand in India, and that is something that we will always hold dear to our hearts. And if a conglomerate or anyone is interested in actually partaking in that journey, yeah, it depends on how things go, what the common thing that binds us all, and yeah, if we're on the same page, why not? Never say never again. So yeah.
Interesting. Last question, Sid, but one of my favorite, right? We are in the business of money, right? And we help people compound their money. I
Absolutely.
just want to understand, are there any efforts being made right now at Good Flipping Burgers on how to compound the taste? It's brilliantly tasting, yes. It's fresh, yes. It has no fillers, absolutely.
Right.
But consistency is one thing. But how do you plan to keep on surprising people or maybe delighting people by compounding the taste?
So, in terms of the food industry, first of all, you have to have a lot of luck to hit upon a product that actually works, right? Everybody can make a burger, right? There are home chefs today who can make a better burger than Good Flippin' Burgers. Why not? I wouldn't disagree with that. I think at some point of time, you have to just take a stand with who you are, what you stand for, and say that I'm not going to compromise on this. Uh, we we do keep feeling bad from time to time when there's a local competitor that comes up and we taste their burger and we're like, man, this is maybe a little better than ours, or maybe this, and maybe we can do this. And that's always good to keep in touch with competition, to understand what is happening and all of that. But at some point of time, you need to take a stand and say who you are, and hey, this is what we do best, and let's do this. So for us, we're a premium burger QSR chain that will serve great burgers within a certain amount of time, and you're absolutely going to love what you've had for the price that you've paid, right? Can I do a much better tasting burger by adding sophisticated ingredients in my burger? 100% I can do that. But do I need to do that at scale? Maybe the answer is no. Maybe let somebody else do that. It's fine. The business in the market is big enough for multiple cuisines to exist, multiple standards to exist within various cuisines, right? If I go to a fine dining restaurant, I expect a completely different experience, but it's also a bigger share of my wallet that I'm paying for that. And so we believe in staying true to ourselves. We are a great, delicious burger that you generally would finish within a minute, right? And we want to make sure that that minute is one of the happiest sessions of your day, the happiest minutes of your day. And, that's why we actually came up with the line, hold on to the good. We kept thinking of a tagline, and we employed this agency, and they were like, you guys don't have a tagline. You'll need to have a tagline. And we said, we don't feel anything yet. We did the freshest, most delicious burgers for some time, but it was too like, product oriented. But I think they gave us the idea of hold on to the good, and for us it just like resonated immediately. It was like, yes, hold on to the good. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world that can take away your attention, that can just mess with your mind. But when you're eating a burger, it's just that moment. It's you and your burger. And at that point of time, we're just saying, hey, hold on to the good. The world will be fine. You'll be fine. Just enjoy the burger right now. So we're there, and we're not trying to create a dent in your wallet for it, because we want to make it a repeatable experience as well. So we're kind of holding on to that.
Great. Thank you so much, Sid. I think that was very insightful, and I'm sure our viewers enjoyed it too. After hearing the word burger for almost 324 times in the last half an hour, I am feeling as hungry as you guys are. So keep watching this space for more interesting stories of conviction, stories of belief, and stories of leap of faith that will keep inspiring you at House of Equentis. Till then, see you.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.